Um, I am making this video because God has laid it on my heart to, and also I'm hoping that somebody maybe can help me interpret one of the dreams I had. So let me start off by telling you my name. I'm Melissa, and about 6 months ago, I was a self-proclaimed Christian. I didn't read my Bible. I didn't go to church. I wasn't active in a church. Nothing. I just believed, and I thought that that was, good enough. God had different plans for me, though. 6 months ago, I woke up, and I didn't have a dream or a vision or anything like that. I just woke up, and there were a few things that I knew that day. One of them was there's a God. The other was that Jesus is coming, and soon. And everything on this earth, it was so irrelevant, it didn't matter. I knew those things for sure. I remember telling my husband, I woke up and I was like, oh my God, there's a God. And Jesus is coming back. And he looked at me like I was crazy, kind of. And but I had this crazy sense of urgency that I still cannot explain. And I actually still have it, but not as bad. The urgency is definitely still there, though. But it drove me to get ready that day quickly and get in my car. I knew that I needed to find someone to talk to about all of this, and I needed to find a church. So I jumped in the car. I went all over town talking to different pastors and going to different churches, and none of them really seemed to want to talk about the rapture, either that or it just didn't seem like a good fit. About a week went by, and the urgency was so deeply embedded in my heart and my soul. It was crazy. It was crazy. I suddenly had all these revelations that I didn't have before, thinking that I was a good Christian, and thinking that we automatically get a pass into heaven, from knowing that that was a total lie. And it's a lot more deeper than that. And I actually thought with the rapture, it was so heavy on me. But I got a hold of my friend's mom, who was an actual good church-going Christian, and she led me to the church I go to now, Freedom Church in Billings, Montana. A really amazing woman named Carmen, and I started going there. My kids and I went the next Sunday, and we gave our lives over to God the proper way this time, with more commitment and loyalty to Him. And a few weeks later, we got baptized. I remember having a conversation with God and talking about baptism, because previous to that, because of my husband, we had been baptized Mormon. And I heard a voice above my own thoughts. You know how you think your own thoughts and you're just thinking, this was above all of that. It was like the voice, if that makes sense to someone out there. And it told me that, and I knew it was God, that not to worry, we would get baptized, call my pastor and talk to him about it. So immediately after I heard that, I was a little freaked out that I had heard that. It freaked me out, but then I was also really excited. So I called my pastor, I told him what I had heard and everything. And he said, oh, we're having baptism in April. You can just wait a few months and get baptized then. And I hung up feeling a little frustrated and sad, why would God tell me that we would be baptized, sooner? And then he revealed to me. I went to church to talk to the pastor about something totally different a few days later, and he ended up baptizing me and my kids right then and there, and my husband on the spot, which was great. So, and I knew God wouldn't, as soon as I hung up, I knew God wouldn't have told me that if it wasn't true, if it wasn't going to happen, and it did. But another thing I wanted to tell you quickly before I run out of time, I had a dream. It was the afternoon and I felt sleepy, so I had a dream. I laid down, I go to sleep, and all of a sudden I'm in this bright room. It's so bright, and there's the throne of God, and God is sitting on the throne. I remember his throne was so huge, and it was white with like green marble on it, and I could see his arm on there, and even his sandals, the robe he was wearing, everything. And I was wearing a white robe, and I had my hands down like this, like down, and I was sort of observing what was going on. He was talking, God was talking to someone on the left, and he had his hand like this. So I just thought I'd let that count. I didn't, I was just watching. All of a sudden I see this guy crawl up to the throne of God, and I noticed that he is on fire from the inside out. So his skin was, he looked like lava looks, is how his skin looked. Black with like red cracks in it, and his legs were fused together. And as soon as I saw him, I felt great pity for the man. And then all of a sudden he reaches his hand up to the throne, like to talk, to beg God for something. And God, I noticed that God hasn't noticed him, and all of a sudden God does notice him. In fact, he looks down, and now I'm seeing from God's perspective. He looks down, he sees the man, and it hurts him. The sight of this man literally hurt God's eyes. So he does this, and I could see that he even winced his eyes, as if like when you look at the sun and it hurts your eyes. He did that. Well, before I knew what happened, I was in front of God like that. Like I was in front of him so quick, and trying to shield him. So I put my arms out like that, trying to shield him. But I'm looking down at this man, and I know that the sight of this man is hurting God, but I also feel so bad. I felt bad for the man, but I also knew he was hurting God. And if anyone knows what that means, could you please tell me? That would be great. I have an idea. Maybe like that's how, what sin, having sin in you, how it would affect God, but I don't know. And then another thing, I did ask God for a rapture dream, and I know a lot of people do that. I asked him, I had been asking him for a rapture dream, and hadn't got one. One day I was talking with him, and I said, Lord, if you could just give me a rapture dream, please, please, please. But if it's not your will, can you please give it to someone in my family that needs it? Well, the next day, I get a call from my little sister, and she tells me, now she does not a believer. She's, young, doesn't want, she's just not a believer. She didn't know that I had asked that prayer either. But she tells me that she had a dream, and she's hysterical. She's crying. She said she had a dream, and she was in a room, and they were all hanging out, and all of a sudden Jesus came. But as quick as he came, he left. When he left, he took people with him. She said everybody was gone, almost everybody. And she was in this, she decided she was going to go to my house. So she gets in her car to drive to my house, but she keeps bumping into people that she knew, but they didn't know her. They didn't recognize her. Well, finally, she makes it to my house, and she said when she gets there, we all look different, and, she has a daughter, a 2-year-old. She said, she asked me, when was the last time I saw Bella? When was the last time I saw Bella? And I said, well, what do you mean, honey? You just saw her yesterday. Well, in her dream, Bella was much older, and, so I was like, oh my gosh, as she's telling me this, I'm in tears because I know God has given her the rapture dream, and that I had prayed for the night before. She had no way to know that. I didn't tell anybody. Nobody knew that. Just me and God knew that, and he gave it to her. So that was super amazing. I still thank God for that. But if anyone knows what the dream in the throne room meant, could you please comment below, or email me, and I'll try to leave my email. My iMac broke, so all I have right now is my phone to record off of. But God bless you all, and keep up the good fight. Don't give up. Jesus is